We have seen a significant drop in the US dollar the past couple of weeks. And the big question that I am asking right now is, can we get a pullback all the way down to this rally area of demand located at about 105, where I think we could see a move off of? That is the big question. We're going to discuss it here in today's weekly Forex forecast. But first, here are some of the profitable trades we had from last week's daily market breakdown videos. So we talked about it a little bit in last week's Forex forecast, where we had a very nice trend to the upside on the daily chart on the dollar. We ended up breaking that upward trend, started to kind of get a lot of momentum to the downside here. And this trend is really more visible on the 4-hour time frame. If you look here, we had a beautiful 4-hour downward trend line. We had a nice supply zone above. We almost contacted it. I still like the supply, but now that we're so far away, it makes this supply less odds for it working out. So what I'm going to be monitoring on the 4-hour chart to determine if the dollar can pull back all the way down to that weekly demand that's at 105 way down here, I'm going to be monitoring this downward trend line. It's that simple. You need to connect the trend line from here to here. That is the correct way to draw the trend line. That is where it's connected. That is a trend line I'll be monitoring. If we break this trend line, that is going to be a bullish sign. It doesn't mean we're going to go up though. What I'll be watching after that trend line is removed, if it is, then we will be watching to see if we can get a trend line to the upside, and that would signal strength. But for right now, on the dollar, I'm going to be watching this downward trend line. If it's holding, I'm going to be pretty much medium-term bearish on the DXY and most of the US dollar pairs. And what we're going to be watching for with this trend line is to see if we can pull back, like I said earlier, all the way down to this weekly demand at 105. It's a nice little rally-based rally. It removed an opposing high. It is a good little area of demand. We definitely could see a move down to there and a rally up to this weekly supply. I've pointed out this weekly supply so many times. That is where I think we could be headed. Now, I've also mentioned maybe the banks wanted to push price back down to the weekly demand, fuel up, get more longs before they push price up. That is what I think we could be seeing here. That is what my gut is telling me. So we're going to be watching the 4-hour downward trend line. If it's holding, that is where we are most likely headed, down to that weekly demand, and then we'll have to switch to potential long trades on the US dollar pairs as we contact that weekly area of demand on the DXY. On to the forecast for the Euro US dollar on the weekly time frame here. We are kind of close to the weekly demand. I mean, if you just map out the high and then the demand down here, we are definitely more close to the demand. And we definitely could be pulling back down to there. However, on the lower time frames, we've definitely seen some shift in momentum. We had a nice downward trend on the Euro daily chart. That downward trend was removed. We reacted off this daily supply once beautifully, came back in for a second test. We are hovering around it right now. I'm thinking this is going to break. That is just my gut feeling. That is what I think we could see. What I'll be monitoring on this daily chart is if we remove that demand, this supply, if we have a new daily demand right here, or maybe it's a little bit lower, whatever happens, that'll be a good daily demand zone that we could potentially look for long trades off of. You can turn swing trades into day trades. It'll be very, very good, especially if you're a swing trader, which is what I am. So I'm definitely waiting for the breakout of this supply zone. It's going to be very significant, especially since it was very, very tested and proven supply. This is proven supply, as we have seen a nice move off of it already. And another thing you could be watching is this 4-hour chart. We have a beautiful 4-hour trend line to the upside. We didn't break a high here. If we do, we'll have a new one here. We'll attach it there. But this is the trend line we have for now. Make sure you draw it the same way I do. It's very important. As long as this trend line's holding, we're going to be looking for longs on a 15-minute chart. And you could be doing it on a 5-minute chart as well, but I would most likely stick to a 15-minute chart. I think that's just a little bit safer. So that's what we're going to be doing here on the Euro US dollar. And then, like I said, on the daily chart, we could be waiting for that daily supply to be removed, creating new demand and creating new trading opportunities. So yeah, that's what I'm waiting for here on the Euro US dollar. Make sure if you guys have any questions at all, do not hesitate to leave a comment. I will respond to every single question. On to the forecast for gold on the weekly chart first. This thing is just on a tear. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of demand being created here. We didn't see big moves until back here. We're just not seeing anything here now, in my opinion, as far as my rules for supply and demand trading go. And if you guys are enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. I do these forecasts every single Saturday, and I've been doing it for many, many years now. So as far as gold goes, look, pretty much on all 4 time frames, we have trends to the upside. So things are looking really, really good. On a 1-hour chart, we have a 1-hour demand that's being respected right now. We had a picture perfect trend line here. This trend line was respected broke below it, came back in for a second test of this demand. So this is clearly a very significant area of demand on the 1 hour chart. I don't want to be trading at it again. This would have been a good setup here, but this one here, I wouldn't have taken that because it's tested. I don't trade at tested areas of demand. It's just my personal preference. It's not something I like to do. So as far as gold goes now, if we break this demand zone and we have a 1 hour supply, that'll be a very significant supply zone. I know this hasn't happened yet. I just want to point it out for everybody who's watching now. So that is something we could be watching on the 1 hour chart, but I'm not really seeing any trading opportunities in the 1 hour time frame. However, on the 4 hour chart, we have clearly demand zones being respected and trend lines being respected. So all I can really say is monitor this 4 hour trend line. If this continues to hold, which it is, we could be looking for longs on a 15-minute time frame. It's really that simple. Unfortunately, this demand's tested twice now. So I don't really feel comfortable pointing out any zones to you guys. But what you could also be watching is this high of price right here. If we remove that high, any zone above that, could be good for longs. You could be looking for longs if we break out above that high. But really, the most important thing to do is to watch the trend line, guys. If that trend line's holding, longs are going to be good. The issue I'm having is if we break the trend line, I don't want to be trading at tested zones, so I'm not really going to see any setups. So it's all revolving around the trend lines right now on gold, and basically just being patient and waiting for new zones to be formed this week. On to the forecast for the USDJPY. Something surprising is taking effect here. We had this weekly demand. It was looking good at first. Honestly, I thought this weekly demand could hold. I thought it was high odds. It's technically still holding, but I do not love this price action right here. We have pushed in well over 80% of the way in. It is not looking good. To me, it is looking like it's going to break. That is just my gut feeling right now, especially since we have very significant trends to the downside on the 4 hour charts. This thing is pretty much just fallen off a cliff. So how do we trade it now? Look, if we start to push up from here, that weekly demand holds, and we start to break the trend lines, okay, then we can look for a long trade. But I just don't see anything at this time as far as longs go. So you could be day trading short as long as this 4 hour trend line's holding. What I really like is the 1 hour time frame here. We have significant trends to the downside. We have a new trend line here. Let me just draw it, make sure I'm drawing it properly for you guys. Brand new trend line here. So that is the updated trend line, and it is the proper one. It's a nice trend line. I really like it. You could be monitoring this trend line and day trading short on a 5-minute chart as long as this trend line's holding. And above that trend line at 150.19, we have a little rally base drop supply. If you look at it, it's a very nice move away. I like it. A lot of basing in here. I'm not a fan of that. So it's not too good of a zone. It's not horrible, but it's decent. We definitely could see a move off of that supply zone. So it's definitely one you want to have on your charts. So let's say let's say you really wanted to short the USD yen. What you could be doing, you could be day trading short a 5-minute chart here. Let's say you take 1 win, 1 loss, or 2 losses, whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's say when we break this trend line, from the trend line to the supply, you need to hold off on shorts. We are not going to be trading until we hit the supply at this point. So below the trend line, day trade shorts are completely fine. Above the trend line, day trading shorts are not fine until we hit the supply. Then we could look for shorts as well. Remember, if you don't feel comfortable with just an entry and a stop loss above the zone, that's fine. You could be looking for extra day trading confirmation in there as well on a 5-minute chart, which is basically waiting for new supply zones to be formed on a 5-minute chart inside of that supply. So in my opinion, on the end, it's all going to revolve around this 1 hour time frame here. Monitor this trend line. Watch out for this supply zone. And look, if we break out here, we break the trend line, break the supply, that'll be a bullish event. And then we can maybe look for longs. It might be something we talk about next week. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the British pound on the weekly chart here. If you look at this as our curve time frame, we have supply above, we have demand below. Looks to me like we are gaining momentum and pushing up to the weekly supply. It is definitely more visible here on the daily time frame as we broke the daily downward trend line, created a demand zone. That demand zone was respected twice, and now we are pushing up. I think on looking at the daily chart here, I think we will have some sort of pit stop here at this little hidden base drop supply at 1.28. I think that's could be our nearest kind of target, in my opinion. It's even kind of a support resistance liquidity trap here as well. If you look at this, little bit of a resistance area right before our supply zone. So we could maybe hesitate here, pause, react off the supply to the downside, and then from there, who knows what's going to happen. But honestly, it is looking strong right now on the pound. We have nice trends to the upside on the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart. The 1-hour time frame looks like the trend could be breaking. What I'm going to be focusing is on the 4-hour time frame. We have a picture perfect trend line here. We are getting a little bit away from it, but that's okay. And we have a nice little rally-based rally demand zone at 1.261. So this could be our nearest entry on the pound on the 4-hour chart. Nice rally-based rally. It removed a proven area of supply, a supply that was tested 3 times, so that is very significant. It is a good zone. It's kind of tight. We're kind of chasing in a way, so it might be best to look for confirmation, and that's something we will be doing in the daily market breakdown videos for the members. If you want to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership for exclusive access to our daily market breakdown videos and catch trades like these. Plus, dive deep with our full-length forecast covering 26 plus markets, our interactive Sunday Zoom sessions, and personal homework to sharpen your strategy. And you'll also join our private Discord group for direct access to me and unlock a complete library of A to Z video lessons to master supply and demand trading. Don't miss out. Let's level up your trading. Links in the description down below. So you could be waiting inside of here for a 15-minute day trading confirmation. Since it's kind of a tight little zone there, it might be best. But honestly, with the trends to the upside, it's really longs all the way. And look, even if we break this trend, even if we break the zone, it's a failure, that's fine. We're still going to monitor this trend line, and we could still be looking for longs to capture this move with the trend. And look, our long-term profit margin going back to the weekly time frame is really up to at least 1.29. So I'm not saying, you should hold a 20-to-1 trade, right? But it could be one of those times where maybe you let 25% of your winning trade run from this demand zone, and then you hold all the way to the 1.29 area and capture an even bigger move based on letting winners run and understanding this multiple time frame analysis. Understanding multiple time frame analysis is how you understand when to take profit early and when to take profit later and try to hold on to winners. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USDCAD. You guys know the last couple weeks, 2 very red days in the USDCAD. Kind of recovering here. Is it a dead cat bounce? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. We could be turning around, but on the daily chart, look, we have a nice daily supply here. I pointed it out last week as well at 1.428. We had a very good rally-based rally demand. 1, 2, 3 reactions off of the zone. Ended up breaking it, so this is a significant supply. It is a decent supply. The basing is not bad. The move away is decent. I just don't like that. I would have liked to seen a bigger move down and then a swoop up. That is what I would prefer. But this is definitely a good area to look for potential shorts. It's kind of our key zone right now, right? So if you look at the weekly chart, we have trends to the upside. Obviously, in an uptrend, we could get a down move. The big question now is, will this supply hold to get a big down move, or will the supply break to continue that weekly trend to the upside? So it's all going to revolve around this daily supply right now. So that's why if it gets removed, that'll be significant, and then any demand that removes it will be great for longs as well. Now, on the 1-hour chart, price action is a little bit more clear as far as trading setups go. We have a little base drop supply at 1.426. We certainly could see a move off that supply zone. What I don't like about this supply zone is that it's kind of right before that daily supply. So this is pretty risky. It could work, could be worth it having on your charts. I think we could see a move off of it, but ultimately the daily supply is above, and it's better to be waiting for that daily supply. But at the end of the day, this is our 1-hour supply, and that is the only setup that I'm really seeing right now on the USDCAD. Or if you want to play it safe, like I said, wait for the daily supply to be hit, and then you could look for confirmation even on a 1-hour time frame to look for the short trades. But remember, all shorts are counter trend, right? So as soon as we start to break supply zones and break to the upside, that's fine. We're going to be hopping on longs to continue to trade with the weekly trend. But for now, the only setups I'm really seeing are the counter trend trading shorts on the USDCAD. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the AUDUSD, the Aussie US dollar. As far as my 2 higher time frames go, my top left and my bottom left, there's not a lot going on. However, on the daily chart, a significant thing happened here where we had a nice downward trend. The downward trend line was removed, and now we are pushing up. Now, this to me is not super bullish price action, don't get me wrong, but if we break a downward trend line that's that significant, it is definitely going to be bullish. The ultimate bullish sign to me would be, a nice high, pull back to the downside, then a higher high. That would really signal strength to me. So this is just the beginning phase of strength that we could be seeing more to come on the Aussie US dollar. Now, on the 4-hour chart, really the only thing I'm watching is this 4-hour time frame right now. We had a proven supply from back here. We have a trend to the upside. This is not really a great trend. I don't even have a trend line here. I don't feel comfortable drawing one. but all price action is going to revolve around this 4-hour chart here. If we can hold this kind of just this low here, if we can hold that low, I personally think longs are going to be fine. But I would stick to longs only on a 15-minute or a 5-minute chart based off of my multiple time frame analysis. That is the best thing to do. So just monitor this low. I think that's probably the best thing to do at this point, because that will basically mean that the trend is continuing and we can continue to look for longs. Now, if we break that trend, we're probably going to be going down to this demand zone. That's just my gut feeling. I think it's a great demand. It's a little hidden zone. Might be best to have a wider stop at this one, but I think it's a fantastic area to look for a long trade off of. The other thing I'll be watching is if we can get a pull back up to this supply. Remember, it's a proven supply from back here, so it's a significant area. And look, even as we push up to it, price started to sell off. So if we can remove that supply, any demand zone will be great for a potential long trade as well. And remember, this is kind of, like I said on the daily chart, this is the initial move and a bigger move we could be seeing, right? So it would be nice to hop on a trend early, right? And hold that trade for a long time, especially with like 25% of your position. So honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just going to be watching the 4-hour time frame on the Aussie. I think it's good. I'm just waiting for new zones to be formed and waiting for pullbacks down to that 4-hour demand. If you're a day trader, longs are going to be good as well. On to the forecast for the USDCHF, the Swiss franc. We failed to break that weekly high. That is definitely a bearish sign to me. It's not super bearish. This isn't super bearish price action. However, it is definitely sideways bad price action. But the fact that we failed to remove that high is definitely showing that the bears, they're starting to short again. And on the daily chart, it's even more visible. On the daily time frame, we had a nice daily trend. That daily trend was removed. We now have a daily supply, and we are sitting basically in the middle between demand and supply. So when we have that, we have to rely on the trends on the 4-hour and the 1-hour time frame. So we're going to go to those time frames here in a minute, but I just want to say profit margin to the downside. If you're shorting, the ultimate profit margin is down to 0.88, and if you're longing, if you're looking for longs, profit margin is to the daily supply at 0.91. Just want to make that clear. And these are both great areas to look for shorts or longs in, whatever you want to do. So definitely a couple good daily zones. And where I think we're headed is to the downside. And why do I think that? Well, because we had a nice trend line here. This trend line we created a new trend line here. So we have a couple trend lines. I'm actually going to remove this one because this is the new one. So this is the trend line that's in control right now. It is getting a little bit aggressive. It's just pretty steep. But what you want to be doing is monitoring this trend line. 15-minute time frame shorts are going to be good as long as this trend line's holding. Unfortunately, I don't really see any new zones being formed right now to get in short off of, but that's the trend line I'm going to be watching on the USD Swiss. And as long as that's holding, it's most likely that we're headed down to the daily demand at 0.88, and then we could switch to a potential long trade at that daily demand on the USDCHF. Last but not least, we are onto the forecast for oil. Just a reminder, higher time frame analysis. We have a rally-based rally weekly demand that is in control. It is not really being respected too much right now. I mean, it's being respected, but it's not like we're seeing, moves out of the zone right now. But that higher time frame is in control. I don't see any purpose of going to the daily chart at this time. What I am focusing on is this 4-hour chart. A beautiful 4-hour supply, beautiful move off of that supply there. Nice to see it. Almost broke it, but nice move off that supply right now. So what you want to be doing on oil right now, I don't see any trading opportunities. This is one we pointed out in the daily market breakdown video. I don't think we pointed out last week's Forex forecast. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go back, but we definitely pointed out this supply. It's nice to see when the zones you point out work out. I just don't see any setups right now. But what I will say is with the weekly demand that's in control, if that demand continues to hold and we push up, we break this supply, that'll be very significant. It's a very significant supply removed. So any demand would be great to look for longs off of. But as far as trading oil goes right now, I really am not seeing anything. We have to wait for new zones to be formed. If anything, you could be day trading short, but it's just not high odds because we don't really have any trends on the 1-hour or the 4-hour chart. But going back to the 4-hour chart really quick, if we can remove this low, which I mean, we're so close. If we can remove that low, we'll have a new trend here, and then you could start to add day trading shorts on a 50-minute chart. But remember, the weekly demand is in control. So at any point, it wouldn't shock me if we get an all of a sudden move to the upside based on that higher time frame demand that is in control here on crude oil. So Basically, just want to be monitoring the 4-hour chart and the weekly chart. Because the higher time frame demands of control, you could definitely look for shorts. That's why I pointed out the supply. But the shorts, I wouldn't be holding the supply zone trade looking for a 10-to-1 trade because of that weekly demands in control. Could it break? Absolutely. But it's honestly, it's best right now. If we can get a push to the upside and get a confirmation, that'll be very significant. That's what I'm personally going to be waiting for on crude oil. If you want to watch the full-length forecast and get my daily chart analysis and daily market breakdown videos, join the Diamond membership. Links in the description down below.